Hello everybody, John back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my official review for Arrow Season 4, Episode 1, titled Green Arrow. If you've not seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, go check out the Season 4 premiere of Arrow, then come back so we can talk about all things Green Arrow. Now, with all that being said and done, it shouldn't come to a shock or any kind of surprise from any viewer of my channel that I am obviously at odds with Arrow, the TV show. Personally, Season 4 is really... It's a real big season for two reasons and two reasons only, minus anything that's actually going on in the actual show. Number one, this is the season that's going to determine whether or not I'm going to continue to watch Arrow. As you know already, I was not a fan of Arrow Season 3. A lot of people defend it. A lot of people are still like, oh, I like Season 3. It's like, that's cool and all, and I'm glad people found enjoyment in that season. But for me personally, and I know there's a lot of us out there, we did not like Season 3. It was dog shit. It was despicable. It was just a shitty episode. There was a lot of shitty episodes in there, but overall as a season, it was just the worst season of the show, and it really changed my overall opinion of what this show could be inevitably. And season 4 is pretty much the breaking point. It's the season that's going to determine whether or not me as a fan, I want to continue to watch this show. And if it fails, then obviously, as I stated prior, I am not going to watch this show anymore. I'm going to quit the show and just continue watching Flash and, whatever CW has plans for post Legends of Tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But beyond that, Arrow is at odds with me, and I'm at odds with it. Moving off of that, that's also it's also a real big issue is that Season 4 is really the break or make season with it. I feel like if this season fails, I don't really see this show going on anymore from here. I feel like this season has a lot riding on it in terms of, let's be honest, this show was only meant to go for 5 seasons in its initial premise, but because of the expansion of the universe and the popularity of the Flash, and now that we have more characters joining the fold, like Supergirl, possibly, and of course Legends of Tomorrow, and that whole thing, could Arrow continue going on? I feel like this is the season that's going to determine that. I feel like if this season is good, or at least at the most better than third season, then there's a future, couple more episodes going on from here. But if it fails, critically, fan-wise, and of course ratings-wise especially, I really don't see Arrow going beyond a 5th season. I'm pretty sure they can get a 5th season, but beyond that, I don't really know. So that's pretty much what I'm really trying to get out there, is that I'm really trying to stay positive. I'm really trying to stick in with this show, because even though I hated Season 3, I'm going to give this season a chance, and I'm going to see where they can go from here and how this sets up the final grand finale, series finale for Arrow. But that being said, let's get into Arrow's Season 4. Basically, if you have watched my trailer review for the season, then you pretty much know my overall grasp of what this season could be. And after watching the premiere, my opinion really hasn't changed that much, and I pretty much feel the same way I did after watching the trailer than actually watching the first premiere. What I mean by that is when I was reviewing the trailer, I stated that the impression that I'm getting off of Season 4 is that Arrow is basically continuing the mistakes they made in Season 3, and alongside with them, making majorly new mistakes. And after watching the premiere, it feels that way. It's very prevalent in the landscape of what this show is pretty much evolving into with Season 4. It feels like they're just continuing the mistakes of what they made last year, and now they're continuing to make more new big mistakes, which I'm not really a big fan of. But that being said, enough of the negativity. Let's get into the actual episode itself. Of course, Season 4 takes place roughly 5 to 6 months after the events of Season 3. Oliver is off living his blissful, vacational lifestyle with Felicity, which, I gave a lot of shit towards last season, but after it's kind of grown on me, and I feel like the way they presented it was pretty nice. I actually liked their new suburban lifestyle. I liked the idea that Oliver was more happy and more, he was clearly happy. He liked his new life. He liked his new lifestyle of being with Felicity, having this fucking mundane kind of mediocre life outside of the newly improved Star City. Of course, in memory of Ray Palmer, who's not actually dead, but we'll get into that later. And of course, it's really interesting to see how their relation is as involved. I mean, granted, I'm not the biggest Felicity fan. I feel like they work better as partners than actual, boyfriend girlfriend. But I feel like it kind of worked and served the purpose of the overall story with this episode premiere, which I really have to say kudos to them, coming from a non-Felicity fan. Although I still wish they could have kept more time being in a suburbia, because it feels like they wanted to get Oliver back into Star City immediately, and it felt like very unnecessary. I mean, like, back when you go back to the finale of season 3, Oliver left Starling City, or as it's later known in this season, Star City, to Thea, Laurel, and Diggle. He left the city to them. He left the city in their hands to protect, for better or for worse. And with this new, gap in between both seasons, it feels like Team Arrow or Team, Magneto or whatever, Team Diggle, Team Dignito, whatever. Basically, they have no real grasp of what they're doing. They're kind of scrambling all over the place. They don't really have great, team working skills, and they're not really good at protecting the city as they were when Felicity and Oliver were still in the game. Although I still feel like, doesn't it feel weird that they kind of went to Oliver so quickly? I mean, like, granted, the premiere is called Green Arrow, and of course it's supposed to be the return of, Arrow into Star City and all, but it just felt way too early. I felt like they should have, and I know, Arrow is, trying to take, its cues from Flash, or they're trying to be they're trying to, get through the story, quite quickly, and I understand that. However, I wish they could have expanded it. I kind of felt the same way I did with the Flash premiere of season 2, where it was like, I feel like if this episode was clearly just them being separated, and then you left episode 2 to be all about them trying to go get back Oliver and bring him back to Star City, I feel like that would have served the purpose of the story more. It just felt way too quick for me, even for Arrow standards, because sometimes they can be a little quick with their storylines, especially the important ones, and it kind of comes off as cheesy, but it just, like, it was way too much in this episode. I feel like, okay, like, you did good by Felicity fans, good for you, and now you did good for fans who don't really care about that thing, good for you. Why ruin it by just being like, oh, the city is being overrun by these people called ghosts, and not the crappy ones from that Call of Duty game, but, like, these new ones, and we got, this guy called Damien Dark, and he's trying to take over the game, and he's bringing in Hive, and, he's working with associates, or whatever the fuck, and he has these cool meta powers that are mystical, or whatever the fuck, and we need your help. But prior to any of that happening, none of that really that was not really ever clearly pointed out. It just felt like, I feel like you people, Laurel, Thea, and Diggle, I feel like you all could have took care of this problem quite quickly. I mean, like, none of these so-called ghosts, or whatever the hell these mercenaries call themselves, none of them really did anything that was so over the top that would cause Laurel and Thea to go to wherever the hell, Felicity is. Yes, I'm calling them specifically by Felicity because, that's apparently what all the Arrow writers care about right now, is just serving the Felicity fans. But, like, they just go over and just like, we need your help. It's like, how? Why? I mean, like, Laurel. I mean, like, I know we're getting into the whole real, like, shit-talking on these characters, but it just felt very odd for me, because it's like, you could do this. You have the ability. You have the strength to do this. I mean, Laurel, you're the new Black Canary. As much as I don't like that idea, you are. And you fucking were trained by Wildcat, who is, the greatest boxer / superhero trainer in the DC universe. And then you were, occasionally trained by Diggle and, Oliver. Thea, character I really don't like. However, You were trained by Malcolm Merlin, who is now the new Ra's al Ghul. Still don't like that idea, but regardless of how I feel, it is true. And Diggle, he's a highly trained, freaking war hero. He's been doing this longer than them. How is it possible that they were incapable of taking out these people is beyond me, and how quickly they were just like, hey, let's just go over there and see Oliver and just bring him back. It's like, it felt way too rushed for me. And that's basically the number one thing I can say about this premiere. It felt way too rushed. It felt like they wanted to set up this season so quickly that they didn't really care about the story of what they're truly trying to serve. Although there were things I really liked. I liked that Diggle was on the reserves with Oliver. He still feels very betrayed by Oliver from what he did in Season 3, and I completely agree with him, and I like that. Another thing I really liked was Captain Lance. I mean, last season, Captain Lance was so useless and completely unnecessary of a character that it was really a shame to see that actor even be on the show. This season, it feels like they're really serving that character more, and I like that. Another aspect about the premiere I really liked was the Felicity. Felicity is back to the way she was, and that's so freaking refreshing, because for me, I love Felicity. I even love the actress who plays her. I mean, come on, she's the hottest actress on this fucking network. No denial in that. But, there's no real way to there's no real way to soft pedal it, but Felicity was kind of the most useless character of last season. I mean, like, all she did last season was cry and mope about Oliver. That's all she this is Felicity every episode of last season, crying and moaning about Oliver. If it's not about Oliver, it's about what the team. If it's not about the team, it's about her personal life. If it's not her personal life, it's about Ray Palmer. She was so back and forth with emotions. I wanted to just kill her off. Just let her go away, please. But now she's come back to the way she was before, and I like that. I like the fact that the Arrow writers are giving her, the credit that she deserves and bring her back to the way she was. I mean, granted, still not a big fan of the Felicity thing, but, with that thrown aside, it's still good to see her come back to the way she was, and I like and appreciate that. Although the lovey-dovey thing can really get, the amount of fluff and CW cheese they fucking threw out in there. My God, I mean, like, if you thought the fucking Flash was cheesy, Arrow, the so-called darker, realistic TV show of the two, is way more fluffier and cheesier than the fucking Flash premiere. I didn't know how the hell they were capable of doing that, but they did it. So, I really don't know it's not really a kudos, because I really don't care for fluff and cheese, but, God, they did a lot of really creepy, weird, like, non-Arrow things with this episode, and I'm not really big on that. I mean, I know, once again, they're doing all Felicity fan service, and that's perfectly fine for the Felicity fans, but yeah, I wish Oliver and Felicity were just partners. I just wish they can just be, they have a relationship, but they can just work together. I don't really see the purpose of being like, oh, they always have to be hugging and kissing and talking really up close. It's like, I can see you. I don't freaking need you to be, I don't know. It's really odd. It's definitely something I'm really going to have to try and get used to, because I feel like that kind of stuff is not going to let up anytime soon on this season. Unless, like, they, like, break up or something, or prediction-wise, maybe someone dies. We'll get into that later, but God, it's just really something I'm really going to have to get used to, because I'm not a Felicity fan, and they did so much fan service for that in this episode alone. It's just like, if you thought that, way out of left field sex scene in last season was fucking too much, this is just like fluff amongst fluff amongst fluff, and cheese amongst cheese. With that being said, overall, the season premiere of Season 4 of Arrow, it was decent. It wasn't the greatest premiere. I still feel, I think a lot of people are overhyping it than it really is. I just feel like so many people want this season to be so good that they're overhyping it. And I'm not trying to, like, rain on everyone's parade. If you love this premiere, awesome. But I just feel like people are kind of overhyping it. I don't think it was the best premiere. I mean, it was a decent premiere, and it was, I mean, like, hell, I'll go out there and I'll say it's way better than the premiere for Season 3 by a long shot. But wow, it was really 50-50 on me. I was really, it really left me with a mixed bag. Like, I really liked a lot of things, but I really didn't like a lot of things that were introduced in this new season that I really don't know which way to go with. It's like, either it's like, I don't know, it's like this season is either gonna bomb or it's gonna be a success. Like a quasi-success. So I really don't know which way to go with it. But we'll have to wait and see. But if I had to get a final verdict right now, I give it a good 6 out of 10. It's a good conservative episode. It's a good, decent episode to watch. It's enjoyable. It's watchable. I just feel like, I still feel my opinion hasn't changed when I saw the trailer. I still feel like all they're doing is just continuing the mistakes they made last season, and they're making new ones, and that's really sucky because I freaking loved Arrow, and now they kind of just ruined everything it kind of stands for. Although it seems that they're trying to get back to the way things were, but I don't know. It's just like after season 3, I don't know how you can do that. It's like either you have to be something completely different, or you go back to like season 2 style stuff, but I don't really see that happening anytime soon. But with all that said, let's get into some other interesting aspects about this new premiere. We also have some new stuff. The flashbacks, really interesting flashbacks. We're finally back at the island. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Finally done with the Hong Kong stuff. I really don't understand fully where the flashbacks are going to go. I still don't understand the whole, Oliver doing his Arrow stuff in Coast City. That doesn't really make that much sense to me. Also, not a really, really didn't make sense to me, the whole Amanda Waller trying to get him to do something for her at the island or something. I don't know. It didn't really make that much sense. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you spent all of last season in the flashbacks trying to kill Oliver, and now you need his help with something that requires him going back to the island. Yeah, I don't think that makes that much sense, but I'm gonna just wait and see where it goes, because I really bitched and moaned last year for going back to the island, and now you're back, so I'm gonna give you that for now, but I definitely deserve a reason as to why he's going back in the first place. With that being said, very interesting, really awesome to go back. Also, kudos for the Hal Jordan reference. I mean, hey, it was Hal Jordan. I mean, we didn't get to see his face, and we didn't get to anybody see him call him Hal, and we didn't really get to see a Green Lantern ring, which I fucking wish they would do already. I mean, I'm just saying, if CW is going to continue to reference freaking Coast City and Ferris Air and Hal Jordan, they need to show me a Green Lantern already. They need to show me a Green Lantern immediately. Granted, they're never going to do that, and Diggle's never going to be Jon Stewart, even though he deserves to be, because we're never going to get Idris Elba, which is depressing. But that's an entirely different topic video. But yeah, Green Lantern Hal Jordan. Really awesome to see that reference. Of course, we didn't get to see his face or see him actually be called Hal. However, I could pretty much go on a limb here and say that's gotta be Hal Jordan. Or maybe his dad. I don't know. Maybe a brother. Whatever. Hal Jordan for the win. I say fuck yes. I like that reference. But of course, there was another Easter egg / reference to Cord Industries. Really interesting enough. Doesn't make that much of a difference. I mean, Arrow has been referencing Cord Industries since, like, what, season 1 or something? So, yeah, it doesn't really make that much difference. So, although it definitely opens up a very interesting topic where it's like, why did they reference Cord Industries? I mean, granted, they've been doing that for a long time on the show. However, if I'm not mistaken, the sole purpose of referencing Cord Industries back in the day was to eventually show him and premiere him in the show. Which, if for anybody who doesn't, recall or fully realize this, is that back in season 3, Brandon Routh's character wasn't actually originally supposed to be Ray Palmer the Atom. He was originally supposed to play Ted Kord the Blue Beetle. But because of Warner Brothers stepped in and was like, we have bigger plans for that. And of course, if you've been checking out the online LexCorp marketing campaign for BVS, there's some hints and references to Ted Kord, Blue Beetle, Cord Industries over there, so awesome on that note. So it just makes me wonder, it's like, why did they do that? Is there like a bigger plan for Cord being somewhere in this show, ever premiering, or was that just like another like safe Easter egg for the fans? I really don't know what to go with it because, obviously, the CW wants Blue Beetle, but, freaking Warner Brothers has plans to use him at some point, and whether that's going to be him being a part of the DC Extended Universe, or possibly appearing in a Booster Gold Blue Beetle crossover team-up movie, who the hell knows, but there's definitely big plans for Blue Beetle, and I definitely can't wait to see that. I just found it very interesting that they used that as the focal point for this episode. Like, I mean, like, they just referenced the living crap out of Blue Beetle. They're just like, Cord Industries, Cord Industries, Cord Industries, what are they doing? The Cord Industry. Here's the Cord. They just referenced the living shit out of that guy. So it really makes you think, is like, was that just referencing just for the sake of referencing, or because that's going to be a thing at some point? I don't know. Moving off that, Damien Dark, love the new actor they got. Oh, God. The actor they got for Damien Dark, definitely loved that they chose him. Also, I really like the fact that they really gave him superpowers. I mean, of course, it's on the mystical side, not the meta-human side for Flash, so definitely interesting that they're changing things up for Arrow and the Flash. And also, I really like the fact that they really made him more complex than other villains on Arrow, because Damien Dark, unlike Slade Wilson or Ra's al Ghul, or even Malcolm Merlyn, Damien Dark is not really a extravagant character from the comic books. I mean, Damien Dark hasn't really been used that. He's pretty much an enigma. We don't really know that much about him, and he has a very small history in the comic books. So I think it's really a good choice for the Arrow writers to really go free with him. I mean, like, I think him having powers and him, like, having these connections to Hive and, you know, him trying to take over Star City for his own agenda, to which we don't know the full extent of yet, I think is a brilliant choice. I think it's great that they're giving life to this character that's not really that well known, and it gives the actor to really have free reign with his performance, which I say kudos for them to do that. Moving off of that, really liked some the aspects of the show that are really interesting, that they did a lot of setting up that they don't really normally do with Arrow. I mean, like, they have some kind of setups, but overall the big setup was the ending, which I really liked. I mean, you know, of course, we pan to the ending of the episode. Oliver, of course, announces to Star City that that the Arrow died because, of course, spoilers, back in last season, you know, Roy, you know, pretty much came out as the Arrow, which of course isn't technically true, to try and save Oliver's life, and of course committed alleged murdering suicide, if you will, and of course has gone off to go do his own thing elsewhere, which I'm still not happy about, but whatever. Maybe he's joining the Teen Titans somewhere, I don't know. But anyways, pretty interesting on that note, but I just really liked the setup for the ending of the episode, where it's just like, okay, Oliver, he's now the Green Arrow. He's announced that publicly to the city. He has come back. He is here to stay for sure. He's had this, you know, extraordinarily cheesy conversation with Felicity about, like, how, you know, the city needs us. We need to stay here. Suburbia was fun for a while, but they got boring. Whatever. Fuck it. You know, screw it. I mean, like, hell, if you are happy here, fuck it. At least we're here together. Whatever. Screw it. And then, of course, Green Arrow. I'm the Green Arrow. It's time for the city to know my new name. Awesome. Of course, they go back home. They're fucking contemplating marriage, contemplating the future of them being together, all that kind of crazy stuff. And, of course, it pans to 6 months in the future, flash forward, if you will. And, you know, Barry shows up as special guest appearance by the Flash. Barry shows up. Has a conversation with Oliver in at a gravesite, a cemetery, and they're discussing what the future holds for the both of them beyond this point. You know, he's talking about how he needs to kill him. We don't know who him is. Probably is going to be Damien Dark. Barry didn't really help out because he's been taking care of stuff with Zoom. Very interesting enough. Can't wait to see what goes on there. But the big thing is, who's in the gravesite? I really have no clue. But I really like the idea that they did that. I really give full-on credit for them to do that. Arrow is not really very ambiguous and vague with that kind of stuff all the time. I mean, they are sometimes with stuff like that. They kind of were like that with Season 3 with the killer of Sarah, even though the reveal of that was completely ridiculously, you know, just stupid. But this season, I feel like they have more of a plan, a game plan, and I really like that. I really like the fact that it could be anybody in that grave, and it could be anyone who did it, and it could be just like what are the ramifications, the repercussions of the actions of who's in that gravesite and what is Oliver really going to become, or what is he really going to do to fix all of that. That's what I really liked about the ending, and I say fuck yes, I like that. I mean, that ending pretty much made up for all the shitty, crappy stuff of this freaking episode, and there were a lot of it. So yeah, I really kudos for them for that ending. It was so good. Of course, we get into predictions. Who could be in that grave? My guess is it has to be between 3 people. As you've noticed, spoilers, over the course of this premiere, Oliver's pretty much at odds with Diggle, Captain Lance, and he's having a rough patch with Felicity. So my guess is it's pretty much whoever's in that grave has to be in between those 3 people. So it's either going to be Felicity, which is the best bet. Granted, I don't think she's going to end up being killed because, for one, I thought she was going to die last season. That didn't really happen, so my first choice for Felicity dying in any season never ends up being true. So, yeah, I don't really think she's going to die anytime soon. However, she's pretty much my best bet on that. Number 2, Diggle. Seeing as how, you know, don't really get along anymore, and Diggle doesn't trust Oliver anymore, I really don't see how, you know, they really are going to be continuing a good partnership for the remainder of this season. So maybe, you know, because of them not trusting each other, Oliver accidentally lets him die or something, and that's how he ends up in the grave. Possibility. Also, moving on, Captain Lance. Captain Lance could be another suspect. I mean, Captain Lance has a very interesting setup for this season. I really don't fully understand it. It seems like he's working with Damien Dark and Hive, kind of, sort of, for reasons unknown. But I definitely am interested to see what that develops and going forward from here. So maybe because of Oliver fucking up Lance's life so much, he was forced to become a bad guy, and now because of that, he ends up dead because of Oliver. So it's very interesting. I'm really excited to see who ends up being on that grave. I like the idea of, like, it could be anybody. So I definitely can't wait to see what goes down. But those are pretty much my predictions. It's either going to be Felicity, Diggle, or Captain Lance. So yeah, can't wait to see what goes down from there. But beyond that, pretty interesting episode. There was a lot of things I didn't like. I thought they could have improved a lot. But there were certain things I did like. I liked the Hal Jordan reference Easter egg. I liked going back to the island in the flashbacks. I liked the Damien Dark villain. I can't wait to see who's in the grave. I definitely liked how they set that up. And I liked the new Green Arrow suit, and I liked the new Green Arrow's persona. So I can't wait to see what goes down in the season. Although I'm still scared about a lot of things, because if this season fails, then I'm pretty much done with this show. And on top of that, I don't really see this show going anywhere forward from here if the show does end up failing, which I kind of see possibly happening some point. But that being said, let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. What are your personal thoughts on the show? My final verdict is 6 out of 10. I thought it was decent. Not an amazing premiere. I think the Flash premiere was definitely superior. But I think it was a good, decent premiere, and definitely better than Season 3 premiere, which I think was the worst. But let me know your personal thoughts on that. What are your personal speculations in the future of Damien Dark and Hive? What are your personal thoughts on the dynamic of Team Green Arrow? What are your personal thoughts and predictions for who is in the grave? And how do you think the show's going to develop from here? Let me know in the comment section below. And what is your personal thoughts on the new Team Green Arrow? Yeah. Anyways, comment below. Let me know what you personally think. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jonch12. Of course, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And of course, before I go, I will be reviewing all of Arrow Season 3. And of course, reviews will be coming out either the night of Wednesday night of the premiere of Arrows, or it will be on Thursdays, like how I'm doing today. So basically, as the second the episodes are done for Flash and Arrow, I'll be doing reviews and hopefully posting them as soon as possible. And they'll either be Wednesday nights or Thursday afternoons is when they'll pretty much come out. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and this has been Jonch12.